Good morning, my dear students. I am Dr. M. Sendil Kumar, Professor and Head, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research, Bihar, Chennai. So, I am going to handle this 5th semester BTech Automobile Engineering subject U18 PCA UU AU 501 Automotive Transmission. Now, first of all, we'll see the syllabus for this particular subject. You know that as usual we have 5 units. The unit 1 has clutch and gearbox. In that you are going to see the problems on performance of automobile such as resistance to motion, tractive effort, engine speed, engine power and acceleration, and the requirement of transmission system. Then the different types of clutches, its principle, construction and torque capacity. Then determination of gear ratios for vehicles. Then different types of gearboxes such as sliding mesh gearbox, constant mesh gearbox, synchro mesh gearbox and so on. The second unit topic is hydrodynamic drive. In that you are going to see the fluid coupling, its principles of operation, construction details, torque capacity, performance characteristics and reduction of drag torque, hydrodynamic torque converter, principle of its operation, constructional details and performance characteristics, multi-stage torque converters, then polyphase torque converters, and finally the converter coupling. Then if you see the third unit, the topic for the third unit is planetary gearbox. In that we are going to see the construction and operation of Ford T model gearbox, Wilson gearbox and Cottle electromagnetic transmission. So these are the contents coming under unit 3. The unit 4 title is automatic transmission applications. In that we'll see the need for automatic transmission, principle of operation, hydraulic control systems for automatic transmission, Chevrolet turbo glide transmission system, continuously variable transmission system, different types of it, its operation, and automated manual transmission systems. Then the unit 5 is hydrostatic and electric drive. In that you're going to see the hydrostatic drive, the various types of hydrostatic systems, principles of hydrostatic drive system, advantages and limitations. Then comparison of hydrostatic drive with hydrodynamic drive, the construction and working of typical Jani hydrostatic drive, then electric drive, principles of operation and early modified Ward-Leonard control system, its advantages and limitations. So these are the titles and the topics coming under the automotive transmission system. You know that automotive transmission system is one of the important subject in automobile engineering, because whatever power that the engine produces, it has to be delivered and transmitted through the different parts of the transmission system onto the wheel. Then only the vehicle can move and propel. So from that point you will come to know that the automotive transmission system is one of the important subjects of automobile engineering discipline. In that I prepared the content this way. We'll be seeing about the introduction, different transmission systems, manual, automated, automatic, CVT, dual clutch, propeller shaft, so on and so forth, covering almost all the 5 units. But in this video we'll see about some important topics, things about the clutch and the gearbox. The content continues. The universal joint, differential, requirement of transmission design process, product life cycle, stages in the design process, project setup, concept design, detailed design, and engineering, drawings and tolerance of it. Now, let us see a typical layout of a transmission system. What is the function of a transmission? The purpose and the function of the transmission system is used to transmit engine torque or the power to the driving wheels to drive the vehicle on the road. Whether it is on-road vehicle or off-road vehicle, engine produces power. That power has to be transmitted to the wheel. So in between the engine and wheel, there are many parts in the transmission line. Let us see one by one. The first one is next to the engine is the clutch. After clutch, there is a transmission, that means it is a gearbox. Then propeller shaft. Both the ends of the propeller shaft has universal joint, one on the left side, one on the right side, or one in the one end and other in the other end. Then final drive containing the differential, and finally the rear wheel. So like that, the power, these are the components which are there in the transmission system. So engine produces power. Now we'll see the purpose and the function of each and every part comes under the transmission system. The requirement of the transmission system we should know. It is to provide for disconnecting and connecting the engine from the driving wheels. When engine is running, connect the driving wheels to engine smoothly without any shock or jerk. Then leverage between engine and driving wheels to be varied. The meaning is depending upon the load and the speed that you require, you have to vary the speed ratio or the torque ratio. That is what it means. The next point, to enable the driving wheels to rotate at different speeds. This one is taken care of by the differential, because when the vehicle is moving on a straight road, both the left or right or the inner or outer wheels will be rotating at the same rotational speed, same RPM or same omega. But when it takes a turn, it should rotate in a different, the inner wheel should rotate slower, the outer wheel should rotate faster. So that provision the transmission should have. That is what it means here. Then provide relative movement between engine and the driving wheels. So there should be some cushion between the engine and the driving wheels, because see, the road is not a smooth surface. It is having so many pits and bumps. So the whole vehicle, including the engine and all the transmission parts put together, it is subjected to, they are subjected to kind of up and down motion, that is force wise, and moment wise there is a bending or coupled. So to take care of all these things, that we should provide relative movement or a cushion between the engine and the driving wheels. So that is why we put we provide leaf springs or springs, shock absorbers and other cushioning materials actually. Now let us see about the transmission system layout. This diagram is a diagram for rear wheel drive layout. That means engine power transmitted to the rear wheel. You see the engine, clutch, gearbox, propeller shaft, final drive, rear wheels. So power is fed and transmitted through the rear wheel here. Whereas in this diagram, the power, the front, it is a front wheel driven vehicle. So power is fed directly to the front wheels, not to the rear wheel here. So in the front wheel, the engine is in a transverse direction or in a lateral direction. So engine, clutch, gearbox, then the final drive with the differential, and power is directly fed to the front wheels. So this is the arrangement. See, for this one, the rear wheel driven vehicle, the examples are buses and lorries. For the front wheel driven, almost all the cars. Almost all the cars. Almost all the cars are front wheel driven actually. So this is the arrangement actually. If you see the different transmission types, so mostly we use in India, we use the manual transmission system. That means it has a gearbox. Okay. The next one is the hybrid, means manual assisted automatic gear. This is fully automatic gear. This is automated manual. There is a scaled down version of this automatic called AMT, automated manual transmission. Then sometime in between, the DCT model also has come. Double clutch transmission system also has come. But then there is another method called continuously variable transmission type, wherein here you can have infinite number of the gear ratios you can have here. So these are some of the things. So I will be covering almost all the different types of transmission systems available as of now in one by one. First of all, we will see the first part next to the engine, nothing but the clutch. Let us see the function of a clutch. Clutch is used to engage or disengage the engine with the rest of the transmission system. I said the clutch is the very first member next to the engine when it comes to the transmission line. So the purpose of the clutch is to engage or disengage the engine with the rest of the transmission systems. So that is the purpose. And the next purpose is to disengage while starting the engine and while changing the gear ratio. Say, you know that when the vehicle is in idle condition, stationary, we keep the gear in neutral position. So when the engine is that is vehicle is in stationary, so we keep the gear in neutral position. Then whenever you want to start, you apply the clutch, engage the gear from neutral to the first gear, then you will be slowly releasing the clutch pedal and you are slowly raising the accelerator pedal. So this is the sequence. So in those occasions only you need definitely the purpose of the clutch. So the clutch function is to engage, disengage whenever you want to stop or start the vehicle, whenever you want to change the gears. So on those occasions, definitely you have to you should need the clutch. And to engage after starting of the engine and gear shift operation. Requirement of a clutch. It should transmit maximum torque of the engine. It should engage gradually to avoid sudden jerks. It should dissipate maximum amount of heat, because you know that clutch is a friction material. Through friction only the power is transmitted from the driving plate to the driven plate. So if that is the case, definitely there will be a slip. Because of the slip, it generates a heat. So if the heat is being accumulated, if it is not dissipated properly, then what will happen? That will impact and spoil the characteristics of the friction material, and ultimately the slip will increase, we lose the power. That shouldn't happen. So for that, the whatever heat is generated whenever the function clutch is engaged, okay, so that heat to be dissipated properly, effectively. Otherwise, definitely the performance and the efficiency of the clutch will go down drastically. You may even you may have to change the clutch plate also. Then damp the vibration and noise, because whenever you are engaging the clutch from the disengaged position, definitely there will be a jerk or there will be a noise. So those jerks and noise and vibrations to be avoided. Otherwise, the ride comfort will not be proper. The riding comfort will not be proper. So those are some of the points actually. And it should be dynamically balanced. Otherwise, definitely it will be a big problem. If you lose the dynamic balancing, uh, then the whole vehicle will be experiencing a kind of vibration. Erratic vibration will occur. That should not happen. So the next point, it should be as small as possible. That is why in bikes and all we go for multi-plate clutch instead of a single plate clutch. But if you take a car or a bus or a lorry vehicles, they still use the single plate clutch because multi-plate clutch is having some inherent uh, disadvantage that it cannot transmit much power actually. Secondly, sleep will be more. So that is another one big disadvantage in the multiple clutch. But when it comes to a two-wheeler, it's okay because power produced is also less, because when you compare typically the two-wheeler, the maximum power it can generate maybe 3 hours per 4 hours per hour 5 hours per in that range. But whereas if we take a car, the horsepower produces is somewhere between 50 horsepower to 80 horsepower. If it is a bus or lorry, it is well above 100 horsepower. So if you see that the magnitude of the quantum of power generated are used in two-wheeler car and buses, two-wheeler has a minimal power, so we can go for a multi-plate clutch. Then finally, it is easy to operate. It should be easy to operate. So these are the a good requirement of a clutch. It should transmit a maximum torque of the engine. Whatever power and torque that the engine generates, it has to be transmitted fully. Slip will be there. Yes, maybe 1% slip will be there, 1% or maximum 2% slip will be there. But considering those deficiencies or losses, it should transmit the whatever torque or the power that engine produces, it has to be transmitted. And as I said earlier, the jerk should not be accounted while engaging or disengaging clutch. And heat dissipation is very important. And then the jerk, vibration, noise, all are in one term actually. The next one is it should be dynamically balanced. If it is not balanced properly, definitely undue cyclic vibration, cyclic load will occur, it will generate. That will be that will not be a good sign for both the vehicle as well as for the engine. Let's see the parts which are there in the clutch unit actually. Now the engine, the end of the engine, you have a big flywheel. So flywheel is a common part both for the engine as well as the clutch, because flywheel also acts as a driving member for the clutch actually. Whatever engine produces the power, that is stored, absorbed by the flywheel. That is one objective of the flywheel, that. The next purpose of the flywheel is to minimize the torsional vibrations, and it has to give and supply the power smoothly. So these are some of the functions of a flywheel. So flywheel also acts as a driving member here. Pressure plate is connected to the clutch cover assembly here. Clutch cover assembly is bolted to the flywheel. Clutch spring placed between the pressure plate and the cover plate presses the pressure plate against the clutch plate, because so this is very important. This clutch spring, you see that the clutch disc, let me zoom it. So this is the flywheel, this is the clutch disc assembly, this is the clutch cover assembly, and so on. So that's the clutch plate is squeezed between the flywheel and pressure plate. So the clutch plate is squeezed and pressed between the flywheel and the pressure plate. Because of that only we can get this pressure plate will get enough frictional power, because yeah, I said already the power is transmitted through the frictional force only. Suppose if it is not pressed, if the clutch plate is not pressed or squeezed between the flywheel and the pressure plate properly, definitely slip will occur. Ultimately, we lose the power. Heat is generated. Heat dissipation is a problem. More slip occurs. So efficiency go down drastically. The classification of clutch. There are different types of clutches. One is a cone clutch, flat plate. In that again there are again some subdivisions: dry, wet type clutch. Number of friction plate wise there are two subdivisions. One is a single plate clutch and the other one is multi plate clutch. That's what I said. Multi plate clutch, even now it is used in all the bikes, two wheelers. Single plate clutch, cars and buses and lorries, they use a single plate clutch still. Actuation mode, cable or hydraulic. Mostly it is being applied through cable only. Maybe for heavy vehicles it is being actuated with the help of clutch, hydraulic, but mostly it is directly controlled by the cables and wires. Actuation springs, they use two different types of springs. One is the helical spring, another is a diaphragm spring. Even though I call it a diaphragm spring, you cannot see that the diaphragm spring as a spring. It will not look like a spring. It will not look like as a spring. Helical spring is a typical spring. Diaphragm spring is something like a plate. So a plate acts as a cantilever beam, and it is something similar to a leaf spring. Yes, it is something similar to a leaf spring. So it acts as a leaf spring type of actuation. So stiffness is being affected with the form of a leaf spring type of arrangement there in the diaphragm. Then centrifugal clutch. Centrifugal clutch is used in mopeds actually, because it is a gearless vehicle, So like vehicles like TVS 50, it uses centrifugal clutch only if you accelerate. If the engine speed raises to a certain level, then only because of the centrifugal action, the flywheel will move out. Then that will press the clutch plate and power is transmitted. That is arrangement for the centrifugal clutch. When it comes to the first one, the cone clutch, olden days they used a cone clutch because they want to increase the uh, the coefficient of friction value. But one biggest disadvantage in the cone clutch is the self-locking will occur. So what happened, because of self-locking, suppose you are about to disengage a clutch, but disengagement will not happen because of the self-locking. In the case of a cone clutch, I'm telling. So you press the clutch pedal in a car or a bike, right? But it will not be released because of the self-locking problem in the cone. So that is why cone clutch nowadays no vehicle is using. It is obsolete now. This one, it is very cumbersome thing. I will show you another example wherein you can see the functioning of a clutch in a beautiful way. Okay, anyway, let me zoom it. It is the drawing is not so detailed, so you can see here. You see there is no. This is the pressure plate. This is the flywheel, and this is the clutch plate. This is the pressure plate and the flywheel. So there is no gap here. You see there is a gap here. The black spot you can see. You can spot some black space, black spot. So there is a gap between the flywheel and the clutch plate. There is a gap here also between the clutch plate and the pressure plate after applying the clutch pedal. Now I will play the video. It is self-explanatory. As it runs, let me explain. So what is a clutch? It is a mechanism to connect and disconnect the engine power to the driving wheels as per the road and load conditions. It is located between the engine and gearbox. That's what I said earlier. There are various types of clutches used in the automobile depending upon the type and use of the vehicle. That's what we said in the we saw in the previous slide. Cone clutch, single plate, multi plate, dry clutch, wet clutch, centrifugal clutch, and so on. We'll see the function of a clutch again. So function of a clutch. It permits smooth engagement and disengagement to select the gear or to change the gear when the vehicle is stationary and the engine is running. It transmits engine power to driving wheels without jerk while the vehicle is set in motion. When the vehicle is in motion, it permits the change of gears also in between, because you know that see the how you are starting how you are making your vehicle to move. Initially from neutral you are engaging the first gear first. Then after some time, after say it reaches a velocity of say if the speed reaches somewhere above 5 kilometers per hour or 5 kilometers per hour or 10 kilometers per hour, you are changing the gear from one to first gear to second gear. Then after it reaches a speed of maybe 20 kilometers per hour, you are engaging. I'm talking about the car now. Okay, you are changing gear from second gear to third gear. So again, from third to fourth, if you want to change, the vehicle should reach at least 25 kilometers per hour or so. So after 25 kmph, you'll be changing gear from third to fourth. Then after the vehicle reaches a speed of velocity of 40 kmph, 40 kilometers per hour and more and above, so then only you'll be changing the gear from third gear to fourth gear. Fourth gear to fifth gear. Maybe fifth gear is the maximum thing for most of the cars typically. So for those occasions, whenever you are changing gear from one gear ratio to the other gear ratio, definitely you should apply the clutch, press the clutch plate, change the gear and release the clutch lever. That is the logic. Then if you want to stop the vehicle, you should apply the clutch and you should change the gear from gear position to the neutral position. Now let's see the parts. So this is the flywheel and this is the pressure plate. You can see the spring here. So this is the lever. Whenever you are pressing the pedal, you are actuating this lever actually. Now you see the engine rotates, crankshaft rotates, engine rotates, flywheel rotates, this back plate rotates. Now we are showing this is nothing but the clutch plate. Clutch plate has the splined shaft. See in the periphery, you see these are the friction linings. The white circle, that is called the torsional spring. White circle represents the torsional spring. Now you see the clutch pedal. So the clutch plate has splines, internal splines. There is an output shaft. The output shaft has external splines actually. So then the clutch plate can easily slide, because now as of now you see there is a, yeah, just I go back, I just go back. At this position you see this is the clutch plate, you see there is a gap, that means clutch is disengaged. Gap between the flywheel plate and the clutch plate, and clutch plate with the pressure plate. So there is a gap. So that means clutch is disengaged. So no power is transferred from the engine to the wheel. Now let us see the parts. Let us see the parts. I said, this is flywheel. Torque spring, the circular round represent torque spring. This is the clutch shaft, the internal splines, the friction lining. This is the starter motor gear, or the starter ring gear for the starter motor actually. So through that only, whenever you are pressing the button, start button, you are switching on the starter motor. The starter motor will be engaging with this gear, and the crankshaft, this flywheel rotates, crankshaft rotates, engine is started. Because all the vehicles nowadays, are even two-wheeler bikes, are electric start, so for that only they provide this ring gear in the flywheel actually. Now you see this is the lever. So this lever is having some mechanical connectivity with the foot pedal. So this is the foot pedal, fork lever, and this is the graphite ring, because this entire thing will be rotating, this is not rotating. So that means there will be some lubricating type of material we should apply. That is why they apply a graphite ring material they provide here, because this will be rotating, this is not rotating, that means it will be sliding, and it is just like it is rubbing with the pressure plate always, since pressure plate is rotating and this is stationary. So the rubbing action should, if it has a some amount of friction, then heat also generated here also. So that should not happen. That is why they put a graphite material here that acts as a lubricant. Okay, these are some of the parts. Now you see that as of now, as per this position now, the clutch plate is tightly held between the flywheel and the pressure plate, no gap. That means power can be transmitted from the crankshaft to the clutch plate to the output shaft. Now we'll see the actuation, operation of a clutch in action. Now you see that, just once again I'll show you. Now you see the driver press the pedal. Now you see gap is there. Whenever we press the pedal, that means we are disengaging the clutch, meaning we are disengaging the clutch. That means you see gap is formed. Once the gap is formed between the flywheel plate and this clutch plate, definitely power cannot be transmitted. Power cannot be transmitted. When the power can be transmitted? Power can be transmitted only if the driver releases the pedal. Now the driver releases the pedal. Now you see the clutch plate is rigidly, firmly held between the flywheel and the pressure plate. Now power transmitted from engine to the wheel through the clutch. Of course, here is the engine. Engine has the flywheel. So this is the clutch. Next to the clutch in the transmission line, the gearbox. So once again you see that the action of clutch. So like this, you are seeing the function of a clutch, purpose of a clutch and all in live action through the animation and video. The clutch material. Generally, the clutch material, it uses asbestos based material, actually asbestos based material. Okay, so because that has a good coefficient of friction, it will have a maximum coefficient of friction value. The maximum possible value is 0.3. So the asbestos based material definitely will have the friction coefficient close to 0.3. Okay, so see, in this video you saw about the introduction about the subject, different units coming under this particular subject, and more importantly we saw the purpose working of clutch in detail. Thank you.